Tonight, new laws to reduce the burden for farming families trying to hold on to their livelihoods. And Australia's Deputy Prime Minister makes a flying visit to the Spencer Gulf.
This is Southern Cross News with Alison Drower.
Hello, thanks for your company tonight. The South Australian Medical Association is describing Port Augusta's emergency department as operating at crisis level. A shortage of doctors is forcing some patients to wait 4 weeks to get an appointment with a GP.
In Port Augusta, a shortage of doctors and a backlog of patients has medicos referring to the emergency room as being like a canary in a coal mine.
This department is really in a crisis.
The state branch of the Australian Medical Association has been meeting with health workers across the region to discuss their concerns.
And I think one of the recurring themes here is an issue about the workforce.
A shortage of GPs has meant other doctors have had their workload increased, leading to professional burnout. Port Augusta gets by with an average of 10 GPs to service a population of 14,000.
Really, it's no surprise that patients have to work considerable amounts of time, sometimes 3 to 4 weeks, to see their GP.
The AMA South Australian branch is proposing a new model of care, which would see an increase in salaried GPs, giving departments backup and support. It's also calling for additional government funding to hire more medicos.
That would put less pressure on the metropolitan hospitals, which are already under immense pressure themselves.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
A campaign continues to kick goals with investors and developers seeking new opportunities in the far west of New South Wales. Our reporter Patrick Reike caught up with the team that is Regional Development Far West to see what's been achieved so far.
A campaign that's going leaps and bounds.
The Far West is a really unique location, unlike anywhere else in Australia, and there's plenty of opportunity there, not only for visiting, but for living and investing as well.
Farwest Proud is focusing on driving growth around Broken Hill, Silverton, Menindee and other surrounding towns. The introduction of a Far West gift card has seen 130 local businesses sign on for special deals to encourage local spending.
Gift cards are limited to any industry, so we have local community organisations, businesses in retail, hospitality, and the range is really quite broad.
The Farwest Proud website is also proving a great starting point for local connections.
We've had over 15,000 hits on our website, and that provides a really broad range of tools that people from locals can use, people from the outside can access.
The site will also soon showcase Sporting Hall of Fame and local champions pages. Farwest Proud, love where you live. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
A major milestone for the team at ABC Radio in Broken Hill today. Staff have celebrated the station's 70th birthday, marking the occasion with a trip down memory lane. Past and present employees of ABC Broken Hill remember the early broadcast days and also their role in serving the community in good and tough times over the past 70 years. South Australian Senator Rex Patrick has used a visit to Port Lincoln this week to see firsthand how the region will be impacted by new oil and gas exploration in the Great Australian Bight. And the Senator says that he has serious reservations about the new projects being worth their while.
A brief listening trip for the Senator, keen to hear concerns around future oil and gas projects.
What I wanted to do was, in particular on the oil productions, to seek opinion as to where people's concerns were.
He met with local leaders, tourism operators and a number of seafood industry representatives, all appreciating some face time with the Senator.
It's always good to have the politicians come out to the regions and have the ability to have a frank discussion with them.
While there isn't any current discussion at parliamentary level, Senator Patrick believes that will change.
We did have a Senate inquiry in 2016 and 17, but now that there is moves afoot to proceed, I think we need to recommence the conversation.
And top of the agenda will be addressing concerns around conservation, resource security and the fisheries industry.
If I'm going to be frank, at this point in time, I have a concern about the production proceeding.
And while he'll be meeting with Equinor soon, he doubts this oil project is for the good of the region.
I'm not convinced of the economic benefits. No one's been able to definitively lay out what those economic benefits are.
Casey Trelaw, law. Southern Cross News.
New laws to give farmers more protection against creditors have been passed in South Australia. The safeguards will ensure mediation happens well ahead of any foreclosure notice.
The state government introduced a farm debt mediation bill to Parliament last month. It would make creditors looking to foreclose on a farming property into mandatory mediation with the landowner.
It moved through both houses of Parliament unopposed, and I think it's a great outcome.
Mr Whetstone says variables such as weather and commodity prices can place stress on farmers' finances and health. He says farmers and banks can usually find common ground if they're given the chance to meet.
Get the dialogue going, to bring all parties to the table to work through the issue.
Similar legislation in the eastern states has significantly reduced the amount of foreclosures.
Victoria, they have had a 98% success rate through the farm debt mediation process.
The state's peak farming body has welcomed the new laws, saying it'll keep the industry strong when times are tough.
Farmer and the bankers can get together and try and find solutions and keep people going.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. The Deputy Prime Minister makes a quick pit stop on the Gulf, taking in both Port Augusta and Port Lincoln. Welcome back. Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack has continued his small run of stops through regional South Australia with a first-hand look at the Joy Belush Bridge in Port Augusta. Garth Burley has more.
It was back at budget time when Port Augusta received the welcome news that the Joy Belush Bridge would be getting a $160 million upgrade. And today the Deputy Prime Minister visited the city to see how the government is splashing its cash.
Well, it's really important as the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Transport that I get out and see firsthand the infrastructure projects in which we're investing a lot of money.
The Minister met with local government officials, keen to get an up-close look at the outdated bridge, to understand why the city can't wait much longer for the duplication of a key road.
It is a choke point. Regions need better connectivity, and that's what the federal government is committed to doing.
The new state government has also invested $40 million in the project.
Now that we have both the state and federal governments committing to put their money on the table, the next thing we need to do is get into a detailed project design.
There are still many cross-checks to be done around the infrastructure associated with a project of this scale. So it could be months, maybe years, before we see the first signs of construction. A few questions still to be answered.
Will it be a duplication in the current site? Will it be another bridge in a different place to ease the burden?
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
And the Deputy PM also dropped by Kadina last night to officially open the multi-million-dollar sports and leisure centre. Rachel Nell was there.
Understanding the importance sport plays in regional communities. The Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack officially opened Kadina's new state-of-the-art sports and leisure centre last night.
The Copper Coast Sport and Leisure Centre very much open. Thank you very much.
The Deputy PM spent his time touring the $10.4 million facility. He says a facility like this has the ability to produce the state's next sporting champion.
Facilities such as this, world-class facilities in a country centre, not only produces sporting champions, but it also gets the community so very much involved.
$4.8 million from the federal government. That's a big wad of money, and it's made a big difference.
When he wasn't touring the state-of-the-art complex, he was mingling with locals and shooting hoops with a netball team.
It's going to be a central point where people are going to come, gather, maybe not even just participate, but also to watch. And that's what being in a country community is all about.
The new facility will be a top-class venue for young and aspiring athletes to use to improve their performance. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The men's shed in Port Lincoln is bringing back the good old days of building and racing billy carts for a very special event in Coffin Bay soon.
A chance to relive the fun of what young boys and girls got up to in the old days.
We made our fun by gathering bits and pieces together and just throwing them together and building billy carts. We learned how to put things together and how to have a bit of fun racing.
And to capture the fun, Coffin Bay will host its inaugural Billy Cart Derby Day on Father's Day and is inviting families across the region to jump in and have a go.
A whole lot of carts being built. Bunnings have been very generous in donating a half a dozen, and we've got the Port Lincoln Men's Shed. They're putting them together for the kids, so any kids that roll up on the day that don't have a cart for whatever reason, they'll have a cart.
And the best part is there'll be no age limit on who can enter on the day.
Well, it can't be because I'm going to be riding one, so I'm hoping that and we expect there'll be sort of 5, 6, 7-year-olds and even people up to my age. So it'll be a fun event.
Well, if you want to give some old school billy carting a go, head on down to Coffin Bay on Father's Day.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Whyala's footy community is this weekend taking a stand against domestic violence, hosting its annual White Ribbon Round, as John Hunt reports.
It's described as an epidemic, Australia's great shame. 1 in 3 women have been victims of domestic violence, and every week 1 woman loses her life. Whyala's footy community wants to say no to domestic violence.
The football community to promote that message that violence against women and children is not acceptable.
This weekend, players will wear a white armband, while all 3 A-grade matches will use a special white footy. League President Jack Velthausen says football is part of the town's social fabric, and they're happy to use that position to promote the message.
Our philosophy is in the family-friendly environment. We want to make that as part of our goal.
The White Ribbon Round will remain a fixture on the calendar, and Mr. Salatino says awareness is growing.
That everyone stops and listens to what the message is all about, which is great for us and a great visual tool as well to show that this is an issue.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
And 2 Broken Hill women will make local footy history tomorrow when they play their 100th games for their respective clubs.
They may be playing against each other, but tomorrow they make history together.
I would have really never thought that I would be hitting 100 games for the club I've grown up in.
Yeah, I've been pretty pumped at training the last couple of weeks, being a bit louder than normal.
Shelby Raven and Britt Tangy played in the first year of Broken Hill women's footy back in 2012. Shelby with Central and Britt with North. Tomorrow they will become the first 2 players to play 100 games in the competition when the Magpies and Bulldogs square off at Jubilee Oval.
The competition's got stronger and stronger every year. Like this year we don't even know if we're going to make finals because it's such a strong competition.
I'm pretty nervous because we play North and we're a bit even with them, like in the competition. So it'll be good to see who wins out of us.
And from somewhat veterans of the women's game to the upcoming stars. Wednesday night saw the launch of junior women's footy in the Silver City. The competition bridging the gap for girls looking to keep playing footy after playing with the boys at a younger age.
For girls wanting to play AFL, they can play with the boys up until under 13s, but can't play with us women until they turn 15. So in between, they have this comp now that they can actually keep playing and keep their interest in footy alive.
Patrick Roenke, Southern Cross News.
Fantastic work there, girls. After the break, our Friday night footy tipsters preview another big weekend.
And it looks to be a wet weekend around the Spencer Gulf. I'll have all the local weather details soon.
Well, Friday night just wouldn't feel the same without our gurus from the sidelines, so let's see what they have to say for tonight's footy tips.
Hello and welcome to round 13 of SGL football. This round starts with Port taking on Central Augusta at Port Oval on Saturday. I'm tipping Port to win convincingly. In Port Augusta on Saturday, it's Solly who travel to take on West. I'm taking Sollies in this one. Then on Sunday, it's the Lions who travel to Port Augusta for the 2nd week in a row, this time to face an undefeated South side who are in devastating form. I'm tipping South to continue their unbeaten streak.
5 matches to go in Whyalla football. Saturday at Bennett Oval, West Whyalla versus South Whyalla. Both teams playing football. West currently top by percentage, so they're favourites here. Saturday at Memorial Oval, Central Whyalla versus North Whyalla. Good win to Central's last week. They'll be keen to get off the bottom of the ladder, but North are equal top. It's the home ground, so Magpies to win. Finally on Sunday, it's Rapina versus Roona Bay. Roos will be keen to avoid the wooden spoon, but Bay's going along nicely. They're going to play finals, so the Tigers to win.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips.
We kick things off with Mallee Park hosting Lincoln South. I'm tipping Mallee Park to win this one comfortably. In the next game, we got Boston's hosting Tasmans at Poole Oval. I'm tipping Tasmans to win this one by a big margin. In the last game, we got match of the round and top of the table clash, where Waybacks are hosting Marble Range at Centenary Oval. Both teams in the last 2 times they've met are 1 game apiece. Marble Range won the last one, and Marble Range have a lot of forward power. Waybacks, on the other hand, have a really strong defence and are stringing some really good games together. If you're in Port Lincoln, I recommend to come and watch this game, but I'm tipping Marble Range to win this one by 4 goals.
Broken Hill football this week sees North take on Central here at the Jube. Central will be looking to bounce back after a heavy loss against South last week. North will want to run into the home finals with a win, and I think it will be the Northies here by 15 to 20 points. Second game sees West go over the hill to play South. South haven't lost a game all year. Westies will be looking to hold on to something, but I think it'll be the Southies too strong in this game by 60 to 80 points. And congratulations to Marcus O'Brien for playing 200 games for South.
And for those who do prefer the round ball, let's go to Whyalla now for a preview with Sean Sheedy.
Okay, welcome to round 14 of Whyalla Soccer. Saturday sees Croatia take on Steel. Steel, a very physical side, but at Croatia Park, I think Croatia for the win. On Sunday sees Wanderers take on Lions at Swandle Park. Lions, very experienced, top of the table. Wanderers been in good form, but my tip there will be Lions.
And may your team get up for this weekend. It's over to Amy now for a look at your weekend forecast.
Thanks for that, Ali. Temperatures dropped slightly around the region today. Port Augusta and Whyalla both reaching 19 degrees. A sunny day in Port Lincoln and 17, while Broken Hill saw the odd shower. On the satellite end, a mass of cloud with a frontal system is generating areas of rain, showers and a few thunderstorms. Skies will cloud over in the southeast as the system approaches. If you're spending your weekend on the waters tomorrow, there will be strong winds. Westerly shifting southwesterly up to 30 knots, with seas reaching up to only half a metre. You can catch the sunrise at 7:16, while it will set at 5:36. Most parts will see showers tomorrow, with temperatures in Port Lincoln, Coffin Bay and Woodnard in the mid to high teens. A fine day for Port Augusta and Whyalla predicted with 19. Showers will settle in around Port Lincoln heading into next week, 16 the high on Tuesday. After some wet and windy weather, conditions are set to fine up around Cleve, with similar conditions set for Woodnard. A cloudy weekend ahead in Whyalla, however some sunshine is set to return. A fine start to next week in Port Augusta with a warm at 20 degrees predicted. Meanwhile, Kadina is going to see some showers and tops of 16. Possible showers on Monday in Port Perry, however Tuesday will bring finer weather and a top of 17. A wet few days coming up in Clare with maximums in the low teens, and in Broken Hill mostly sunny next week and 18 degrees. So it's looking like a fine start to next week around the region. Ali, back to you.
Thank you very much, Amy. No complaints at all about just a little bit more rain. Now that's your local news for this Friday night. I will see you again on Monday. Until then, enjoy your weekend.